What's up, y'all? Welcome to another Dope Life podcast, the dopest podcast ever. And I'm your host, Coach AJ, Dope Life Coach, the dopest life coach ever. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you never miss another episode. And if you could be oh so lovely and dope and leave us a rating and a review, we'll greatly appreciate it so our podcast can get out to dope individuals just like yourself. Today, we're going to be talking about knowing what you want, but knowing exactly what you want and how to actually make the changes throughout the way, because I feel like we all have an idea. We think we have an idea of what it is that we want. But the truth of the matter is, do we really have an idea of what we want? Or is it based upon what other people want for us or what we've just kind of seen? And are we not tapping into our mindset enough to really identify what it is that we want and what we need? So let's waste no time. Let's get right into it. I'm gonna take you back for a second. Let's think about the time when you were a kid and you were in kindergarten and they were saying, "Hey, draw a picture with your house and what you want your life to be like." And we would sit there, we would draw it out. Or even there was a game that we used to play, I'm aging myself, where it was cut into 4 pieces. I'll see if I can find a video, and we would go like this, and then it would say you would have a house or you'd have a shack and all these things. We used to talk about these things so freely and we would visualize it even at a young age. But then we became adults and we've lost those images and those visualization of what it is that we wanted. We started just tapping into what society told us to get, and we forgot about what it is that we really want. And I can't help but think about that, like the fact that we are all just children in itself. We have children inside of us that we kind of lose along the way because we got responsibilities. And I get that. But I feel that we can still outlive that, especially when we have access to money. I'm just saying. Especially when we have access to and have free willpower to do the things that we want to do, we could actually still tap into that. And it just takes clarity. It just takes a lot of clarity. And today we're going to be talking about that, how to really find the clarity to get back into the things that we really, really want and the things that we need. And how we could also, especially if you're you have a family or those around you, how you could also incorporate them into that as well. Because we once thought about it before. What makes us think that we can't think about it anymore? We still can. So let's break that down a little bit, all right? Let's talk about money for a second. A lot of people will say I want money. I want money. Money is the answer. And I get it. We need money to survive. We need money to live. But what does it actually look like to you to actually have money? Is it security you're looking for? You just want to have a good amount so that you feel secure? What is it that you need? And we forget this step to get the clarity. So let's say, for example, you're saying, I want to have this amount of money. Well, why do you want it? What's the importance to you to have that? Clarity is everything. People could say that I want X, and that sounds great that you want X, but what's the why? And how did you figure out that why? Through clarity. All right, what's the strategy to get to that why? Start breaking it down. And you're never too old. You're never too old to do that. You're not starting. I want to say to anybody who's like, oh, I'm starting over again if I do that. I'm sorry. I just literally watched a video of a young man who's 29 years old. He's going back to school and he literally said, yo, do it. You're never too old to do it. You're not. It's actually better that to keep your brain constantly learning and educating yourself versus just sitting back and being like, I've already been there, done that. No, allow yourself to elevate. Allow yourself to elevate. There's honest to God, there's no excuse when it comes towards finding the clarity of what you want, but you have to be willing to put in the work. And sometimes even just figuring out the clarity is just you sitting down with yourself, which is uncomfortable for a lot of us to just sit down and say to ourselves, I want this because of this. I want this because I saw this in, let's say, back in the day, and I realized I don't want to end up like that. So I want to change it and change my story. I want to switch it up. I want to make it better for me. That's cool. If that is your clarity, bet. Now you got to figure out, how are we going to get to that? What is the steps we're going to take to get there? So what you could do is start writing down your desires daily, without limits, without judgment. Start writing down all of your desires daily. And if it's uncomfortable for you to write it down, we have technology. Grab your phone, use the notepad. You could speak to it and it types it out, or you could sit there and actually physically type it out. You could create a video of it. This is what I'm feeling for. This is what I feel like I want. This is what I desire. Like I said, going back to when you were in junior kindergarten or kindergarten and you would draw out a picture of what you wanted your life to look like and be like, it was there. It was there the whole time. We know that's your subconscious telling you, this is in your future. It's already yours. Whenever your mind is telling you that this is going to happen or this is what you're seeing, it's yours. It's already yours. It's up to you now to do the work to get there and be determined enough to actually go after it. But it's yours already. You just have to claim it. That's the part that a lot of us are fearful of. So that's when the coping mechanisms come in because we're afraid of claiming it. We rather just numb ourselves with something else and say, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to put in the back burner because the uncomfortable parts are growth. The uncomfortable parts means that we got to step in. The uncomfortable parts means that we got to actually put in some work and we got to let go of the stuff that are mad comfortable right now. We have to release ourselves from that. It's like you're on the hook of it, but you know it ain't gonna work for you. I'm one to admit my scrolling was trash last year. Trash, absolute trash. Until especially on my downtime, not when I had stuff to do on my downtime. And I recognized and I said, what else could I have done with my time? And when I realized that I could have done so much more, I started setting timers. I knew for a fact that I can't just cut it right off. So I start setting timers. You feel me? I got clear of what it is that I knew wasn't working for me. And I start being more proactive than reactive in a way, even though I noticed it after the fact, but still I started being more proactive. Like, no, we're not going to go past this time. I start going on the apps and putting in the timer every day. Like, yo, and it pop up and say, yo, you only have 15 minutes left. I'm like, all right, lock off. As soon as I saw that, we ain't doing this no more. I'm done for the day. That's it. We got to start being more proactive than just reactive when it comes towards gaining the clarity and going after things that we want in our lives. You understand me? Now, when you start doing the daily desires and you start writing it down or you start doing the audio option, whatever you choose that you feel comfortable in, this is going to activate your subconscious to note of the opportunities that are waiting for you. This is also going to start creating the blueprint for your actions of what you need to take. This is also going to start strengthening between your alignment, your environment, thought and actions. Now, another few steps that you could take when it comes towards finding clarity. Again, I talked about journaling. Start journaling. I know. Some people are not into it. I feel you. I was one of them. I'm not saying you got to do it every day if you don't feel comfortable, but set a non-negotiable to do it at least 1 to 2 times a week and then start ramping it up over time. I guarantee you're going to want to ramp it up over time because you're going to realize how great you feel when you start doing it on a regular basis. Start journaling in the morning. Start writing down 3 to 5 things that you want clearly and vividly. It's time that we start putting respect on our dreams and our desires. Step 2, start visualizing. Again, if you're uncomfortable doing it, start with just 1 to 2 times a week. Ramp it up over time. Start to make actionable steps to work towards where you want to go. Even if it's just this small. This small means a lot over time. Don't diminish it. Step 4, watch how you speak to yourself. Remove I can't and start shifting it to someday or I will do this tomorrow. Start putting more emphasis of the positivity on what you're saying. Start saying it with confidence and start using present statements more often. Not that you can't do it. You just haven't figured it out yet, but you're working towards figuring it out. The more that you find the clarity, it allows you to show up as your natural self. And you're going to want to show up even more because now you're working with your alignment, not just such resistance of, okay, I have to get this done. Now, I want to preface by saying this, just because you have all the clarity doesn't mean that you're just going to clarify exactly what your decisions and the way you're going to go, but it does help your direction and your momentum for you to stay disciplined and consistent. Now, let's take it back a bit. I talked about fear and us feeling overwhelmed a little bit. That's why we avoid the whole clarity aspect. But here's a few steps on how you can overcome that when it does show up. Start off small. I don't know why we always think that we got to do the biggest and jump in the pool with do a cannonball when it comes towards our goals. You don't got to do that. Start off small. Take your time. Let's think about the pool for a second. The first time you got in, were you just diving in there? No, you gave yourself some time to learn how to swim. It's the same thing, y'all. Although I referenced it already, start using something as simple as writing out your thoughts. I'm telling you, you feel a lot better when you do it. And 3, your mistakes are not failures. They're just needed and necessary for you to get to where you want to go. Now, how can you incorporate all of this in your week that you have ahead? Don't worry, I got you covered. The first thing you're going to do is think of one area of your life right now that you want to find the most clarity in. Then you're going to commit to writing out your desires for 7 days. Let's just try it. Let's just try it for 7 days. What is one small action that you could take right now? And what's the next one you're going to take tomorrow? And so on and so on. Now, at the end of your week, on the 7th day, reflect. How do you feel? What do you need? What worked? What didn't work? All right, y'all. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And I hope you're able to get a lot of good gems of how you can find your own clarity so that you can move forward. And you could just grab hold of this year and grab hold of your life like you would never believe. Because at the end of the day, the world is your buffet. And it's time that you grab yourself a plate. All right? I'll see y'all next week for another episode of the Dope Life Podcast. And y'all know what to do. Walk with peace, walk with love.